Hello and welcome to week 2. Now this screen's going to look slightly different from what you're going to see because this video that I'm recording now will be plugged right here. So I just want to go through some things and tell you that this is pretty work heavy. And I'm sorry that it's the 4th of July week, but unfortunately in a class this short we can't skip time. So I am posting this earlier than usual. These are usually posted on Sunday night and it's being posted on Friday. I will try, because a couple of students have contacted me, to go ahead and re-record a new video for week 3. I'm doing these new because they're outdated and I didn't want to give you old information and then let you figure things out. So here we go. So when you look at this week students will, there's quite a few things up here. First of all, your discussion board is plugged in here. You're going to read about plagiarism. You're also going to read about quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing and do some homework on it. And you're also going to read and begin your first paper. Now, the actual paper isn't due until next week, but I highly recommend that you go ahead and get started as soon as possible. So let's scroll down the page and have a look here. The library research link will take you directly to the discussion board. So when I click this, it's going to take us to the discussion board page where you, excuse me, where you can actually see the discussion board. Now, a few people have already posted, and you will have to do your own and find your own information and post your own individual posting here, and you will create thread to do that. So make sure that if you don't see these names when you begin, that you hit create thread. Okay, so for the next thing that we're going to talk about, let's go back to learning content. And remember, that's where you access all of your weekly folders. This does look different to you because it's my view instead of a student view, but you will see this very shortly. So let's go to July 2nd through the 8th. And I'm going to scroll down through here again and show you the rest of the stuff. The summarizing, paraphrasing, and quoting, this gives you the learning objective for that particular assignment, showing you that it does fit into the class objectives listed on the syllabus. As you move down, this is a video tutorial, a quick review, and here is your actual graded assignment. It does have the same due date as the other ones. There are a few exceptions to that rule, of course, but for now, that still applies. The thesis statements, that's really important to get started on your first one, your first paper, so it had to be plugged into this week. Again, this is just the information to help you. This composing a thesis quiz is not something that's going to apply to your grade at all in this class, and this part, but it may help you with the homework. So it might help you to go ahead and do the composing a thesis quiz just to see how much you learned from the information given. Now here is that descriptive essay link. You are required to do several things for this paper. And I'm going to go ahead and click this and go through that so that you have that on this week's folder and you can look at the information. This is set up a little bit different this semester based on student feedback from last semester. I always try to take that into consideration. So if I do send out a survey, please make sure you answer that because it helps me organize the next semester for students and keep improving the course. You're going to see a couple things here. This MLA paper setup will get you started. It will not completely give you all the information to do a full MLA paper because of the sources. So you want a works cited page if you use any sources, which you're not required to do on this first paper. So here's the information you'll need. So you're going to explore the following link to see the general MLA formatting. That is on the OWL Purdue website. It's very helpful. This is a fully formatted MLA paper to show you, and it also has comments in it to tell you things about MLA. And here are my basic tips. These are the things that I will look for in your rubric. I do expect full formatting of MLA, so please watch these and kind of get a head start on setting up your paper. How do you learn about descriptive essays? First of all, the chapter 16 in your book, which can be accessed by clicking on that link for the e-text. You can access that. That is on descriptive essays, the whole entire chapter. Now you can skip around, and this is a pretty simple concept, so I didn't really put requirements on you reading the entire thing, but you will need to know what descriptions are and able to do this assignment. And since this is online, it's very difficult to give full lectures on things. So I incorporated descriptive essay writing. This is a cute little video that will help you with some of those descriptive words. There's also a requirement in this paper for you to highlight descriptive words. That does not mean full sentences. That literally means the descriptive words of the 5 sentences that you're going to use in this, that you have to highlight those in your final paper and turn those in. There's a 10% deduction on that if you don't do it. Now this rubric is built into your assignment, but it's also listed here if you have trouble accessing that. It gives you a few details here. Now, when you get ready to submit, this is what I want you to look at. First of all, you cannot turn a paper in any other format but .doc or .docx. That is Word. That is Microsoft Word. And I just saw a error in here that I'm going to fix while I'm talking to you. So, if you do not have Microsoft Word on your computer, there is a way to get that by logging into your email for the school, and you can up at the very top there's a little box of little squares, and if you explore that area you will probably be able to figure out how to download that. You go to the software section and it's free from the school. It's included in your tuition. So again, let's go through where do I submit my work. So when I click this, something specific is going to happen. You are going to see, first of all, you'll see this down here depending on which browser you're using. It gives you the final due date. This 11:59 p.m. is Eastern Standard Time. So that's fast time in simple terms. So Louisville, Cincinnati, places like that. But here it's due at 10:59, and it's just the way that Blackboard is set up that I have to enforce that. So if you turn in after the time, 11:59 p.m. Central Time, it is considered a day late. So please be on time. I do enforce those. So let's look at the rubric. This is exactly like the other one that you saw, if you read the section above where it was posted in Word format, has all the same information. So you get 5 points for the sections on this side. Please read this in its entirety. This also says all descriptive language that you want applied to the minimum requirement must be highlighted, or there's a 10% deduction. And the minimum requirement here is 2 examples of each sense. So there's 5 senses, and you will do 2 examples in each one. Now on this assignment, what you'll do is write about a life event that has impacted you as a person, changed you in some way, made you realize something. Now, in a way, this is very narrative because you're telling a sort of story about it. But you also have to incorporate those descriptive things. So, say for instance, you were swinging on the front porch swing with your grandmother, which actually happened to me. And she told you a story that pretty much changed the course of your life. That would be a narrative essay going from the beginning to the end. So you would talk about how that situation started and ended and how it impacted you. But in between, you would incorporate descriptive language, which I've put up a lot of sources for you to learn about that. I don't think there will be any trouble if you watch all the sources and get started. Now, I do want to comment on thesis statements in descriptive essays. Those are more of an overall impression. They don't have to be laid out. For example, like while homeschooling may have benefits, this, and this, issue is a problem. So that is an actual structured thesis statement in its roughest form, of course. But those aren't generally what happens in a descriptive essay, although they can. So if you want to set up a structured thesis statement, you're welcome to, but it can also be that overall impression, like what is the meaning of this story? What is the overall impression that I get from your story? So I hope that helps a little bit. Then your focus on your thesis, as always, you need to focus on what you're talking about. You don't get off topic. You stay on topic. So whatever you start with, you end with. You come back to in the end and talk about its significance in the meaning of it. So the paragraph structure and support, this just tells you every topic sentence. The paragraphs don't change subjects within the paragraph, that it's very You've used transitions clearly, that it connects to each other. Things just work. They fit together. The conclusion, you tie up those loose ends. You help us understand, basically the dominant impression or point that the writer wanted to make is that, what's that message? Okay, so what did you learn from the experience? How did it impact you? How did it change you? The assignment directions and formatting, that is just that you have to have MLA, you have to have it in doc format. I do not accept PDFs or any other format in this class because it's free to you from the school, and it helps me because I can grade it on Blackboard quite easily. So grammar and punctuation, that always applies to any English class. It is 10% of the grade, and so the writer makes no more than 2 errors in grammar or punctuation that distract the reader. So you can see you can still make errors, and I tend to be more lenient in the beginning of the semester because I expect you to improve over time. That's my personal goal for you. So try not to stress and focus on content on this one so that you can give us a colorful view of things. And please also know that your story may be shared with the class. I want you to know that because if it is shared in this class, not other ones unless I had your permission, just know that in an online class you treat it like a classroom class, and I may pull out ones that are that someone maybe did well or point out a thing that that helps like show why someone might have gotten an A over something else. And I would never use your name, but it might be excerpts from something. So please note that it may be shared to a certain degree. And then spelling is always an issue. A simple spell check on Word will help you take care of that. Now, word use, word choice is a little bit different because Word won't catch all of those errors. So keep that in mind as you're going through this, that you really need to read this out loud. So I would suggest writing your paper. It's a minimum of 2 pages, and of course you have a header in MLA. Once you look at that information, you'll understand that a total of like 8 lines are just devoted to your information for the paper, your name and the date and all of that. So it's really not that long. I do expect you to go to the end of the essay at the very end, last space, last line when it's formatted correctly. Adding extra spaces will not get you credit. You will have a deduction if you don't meet the minimum length, which is 2 full pages. So please keep that in mind. It's not to be cruel, it's to meet the minimum requirement of the class. That's all. So the sentence structures, you want to write, you can be simple, but it also has to be, the sentences are just well constructed, that you know how to write these things. If you need more of a review on any certain topic, those are certainly available to you. You can look in resources. I can send you information if you want to email me, but this class is really, really short. So I suggest you do your personal grammar check, double check your rules, make sure that you're doing things in line with English, standard English. And then down here, all descriptive language that you want applied to the minimum requirement must be highlighted, or there's a 10% deduction. Only descriptive words, not entire sentences. So you can highlight that in yellow is my preference, so that I can see those, just to make sure that you have met the minimum requirements of the course. So that's how you view your rubric. It's also available in that folder we looked at. I believe I've said everything I need to on this. Just make sure that you have 2 minimum pages. It can't be over 3. So if you're really colorful in your language, you still need to stick below 3. There is the 10% deduction for not highlighting those words, not entire sentences again, and then the other deductions apply. So the 10% is in addition to that. I want to make sure that you and I both understand what descriptive language you've used. This is a good exercise to get your brain working for other essays. It's also a way to help you explore something that you want to write about, something personal, or some outside event that has impacted you. So try to make this user-friendly, so to speak, so that you have something interesting you can write about in some of these essays. And I hope that you enjoy as much as possible the essay itself. So you're on week 2, and we have about 5 weeks in this class. So Get started as soon as possible, and please email me with any questions you may have. Thank you, and have a good day.